Coming up to 11:16 a.m. right here on Trax Momentum with me, Kong. You on a Tuesday. It is the last day of September 2014, and you're just in time to catch the interview feature of the day. And joining me in the studio today are two gentlemen from EcoKnights, namely, of course, Andrew Zoromski, who is the EcoKnights content developer and strategist. Wow, strategist.
That's right.
As well as Bakhtiar, who is the program director of EcoKnights, and wearing a double hat for the topic of today, which is the Langkawi Eco Film Festival. I'm also speaking to Bakhtiar, who is the festival director himself. Fadli, how are you?
I'm swell.
You're doing swell. Ayo, I like that. That very positive reaction.
That's right. We're oozing positivity.
Yeah.
Although
energy flowing.
Just a few minutes ago, you looked like you could do it with a massage, Andrew.
Yeah, massage and nap, but I'm ready to go now.
Okay, great. All right, Langkawi Eco Film Festival 2014. Tell us a bit more about this. Is this the first time, and what makes this festival different from, say, the KL one?
Yes, go ahead. Okay, yes. First of all, this is the first time we are doing an offshoot to the annual Kuala Lumpur Eco Film Festival.
Right.
The reason is quite very simple. I love Langkawi. That was my main reason. And we believe that this is an opportunity for us to bring the Eco Film Fest outside of Kuala Lumpur.
And you asked what was different from the Langkawi Eco Film Festival from the KL version.
Yes, Andrew.
Well, particularly it's different because the KL Film Festival, we have 75 different films. They're from all over the world. They're on varying environmental topics.
Right.
Langkawi, we've made sure that we selected only films that deal with sustainability as it pertains to island life. So we have a lot of different films that focus on some of the struggles that islands go through to maintain their environmental sustainability. And I think that's part of the reason that we wanted to go to Langkawi as well, is because it's a confined space, unlike KL, which stretches out for, a long ways.
Right.
Langkawi is just a confined space where you can kind of, exactly what you're working with. So.
And it's kind of nice to kind of keep it in a sort of focused in an area. I mean, you talk about KL. I mean, KL's great and KL's wonderful, yeah, but there's so many other things happening in KL.
Exactly.
And so many other things to do also, yeah. It's easy to just sort of wander away a little bit off topic, I guess, as it were. This is the first time, the inaugural
That's right.
occasion in Langkawi, yeah?
Yes.
And tell us a bit in general, I guess, for those of us who are not so acquainted with the Eco Film Fest in general. How long has it been going on, and what's the sort of, in summary, what's the idea and the agenda and the objectives behind having it?
Well, Fadli's been there for all of the film festivals, so maybe he should answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, so the KL EFF started in 2008, 7 years ago.
Wow.
The idea was to provide or bring in more content, international content and local content to Malaysian public, in order to encourage them to learn more about environment in a different way. So when we talk about environment, people always think that the only way to learn is through going to hear what speech, or even like tree planting, all this conventional way of dealing with environment.
Right.
So we believe film is a powerful tool to educate the public, and we don't have that here. We don't have a lot of options in Malaysia with regards to the environmental films. So we thought that hey, let's give some calls and see if we can get films in. And as a comparison, in 2008 we screened about, if I still can remember, about 12-13 films in total, local and international, 6 locals to be exact.
Okay.
Up to this year, we have received over 375 submissions from all over the world. So in 7 years, you can imagine the amount of films that we have received.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is the 7th or 8th edition, I guess, and
7th
edition.
Yes.
So in place of the KL Eco Film Fest, so is the Langkawi Film
This
Festival?
is in addition to.
In addition to.
So the Langkawi Eco Film Festival is happening pretty soon on the 11th and 12th of October. The very next weekend is the KL Eco Film Festival at Publica Mall.
Nice. Wow, so that's 2 weekends.
Yep, we're busy.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Okay. An eco film. Let's talk about. Let's zoom in on that before we take a break. Yeah. What makes a film eco in category, or how would you define that actually?
Well, I think we, specifically for the KL Eco Film Festival, we keep that definition a little bit broad because we know that there are a lot of different environmental issues out there. A lot of issues that we know about, some that we don't. So we try to keep it to a broad definition so we can allow for a lot of different stories. So I think the environment can encapsulate a lot of different areas of everyday life. So it could be anything from dealing with waste and recycling issues to animal life in the jungles, or aquatic life, or overfishing. It can be a very wide assortment of issues being discussed. Of course, for Langkawi, again, we're focusing on island issues, but we do try to keep that definition fairly broad to make sure that we can capture some of the concerns that the people have.
Right. And speaking, a little bit more elaboration on eco films and the category that fill. Do we know any of popular eco films, for example? Have they sort of penetrated into sort of the mainstream commercial market, or are these very sort of, how shall we say, artsy-fartsy type movies?
Oh no, there's tons of big ones.
Okay.
If you think back, what was the Al Gore movie from a long time ago?
The 11th Hour.
The 11th Hour, but then there was
Inconvenient Truth.
Inconvenient Truth.
So these, we're not showing those in particular, but those started off what I think are very big name environmental films, and we bring a lot of those as well. From you got some of them in front.
Yeah, maybe one of the films that we are going to screen at the LEFF is a film called Trash, with Jeremy Irons, the Hollywood actor.
That's right.
Starred in the documentary. We also, for LEFF, for the Langkawi, for instance, we also have another film called The Whale, narrated by Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
And we also have quite a few films which is co-produced or produced by the likes of, say, Martin Scorsese. So I think the trend is now moving towards that. You have big celebrities going into making or be part of the documentaries.
Right.
Environment, social, different types of documentaries, because people need to know the truth now.
Right.
People want to be told about what's happening, what's really happening in the world, and I think this is a good way. Maybe for Malaysians, we should start that. Celebrities, public figures, they should start and be part of making environmental films in Malaysia.
Or either putting it together as a director or a writer of some sort,
or a producer or narrator,
or being part of it.
The celebrities garner a lot of attention, and they garner a lot of respect. If you look at even the recent meetings at the UN going on, you had the likes of Leonardo DiCaprio and Emma Watson there, and we have some films that capture some of those big names. I think the Scorsese one is Pandora's Promise, right? Which is a great film about nuclear energy. But that's produced by Martin Scorsese, which is about as big of a name as you can get.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Have to kind of check these out more. In the meantime, of course, if you are curious and you'd like to spend a little bit of time in lovely Langkawi, don't we all, right? It's a perfect venue for a film festival, an eco film festival to be specific. It is happening very, very soon, next weekend, the 11th and 12th of October. Mainly at the 4 Points by Sheraton, right? That's the venue per se. And do head out there, as well as the, of course, the upcoming following KL Eco Film Festival. But more details on the Langkawi Eco Film Festival, LEFF, when I come back with my two guests in the house today after this one. Keep it locked right here on Trax. Good morning. Welcome back to Trax Momentum with me, Kong. You, good morning. If you're only just tuning in right now, we're just in time for the rest of our interview feature of the hour. I've been speaking to two guys from EcoKnights eco warriors Andrew Zoromski as well as Fadli Bakhtiar, who joins me today to talk about the LEFF, the Langkawi Eco Film Festival 2014.
Yes, excited.
It's happening next weekend, 11th and 12th October at the 4 Points by Sheraton Langkawi Resort. Yeah, great stuff. LEFF, we've been talking about eco films a little bit in general and how they do seem to be getting more and more popular, especially in the forms of documentaries. Yeah, but are there any films that actually, how shall we say, non-documentary type films, fiction, or maybe movies or films which are based on true stories, which do fall under the category of eco films?
There's a bit more of that at the KL Eco Film Festival, because the KL Eco Film Festival is also a competition where we ask for submissions for documentaries, feature films, PSAs, animations, and the likes. And so, when you have an entire category that's animations, you're going to tend to get some fictional elements there. Most of the films that we're screening at the LEFF, though, are more, information-based, more documentary type. I
see.
Because I think we're really trying to push awareness and education in Langkawi, both because Langkawi as an island and Kedah as a state are really pushing for environmental protection. So we want to be able to provide people with the information that they need to help those efforts.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you just mentioned Langkawi as an island and Kedah as a state. They want to, they're very aware of that, and they want to make sure that it is a highlighted topic, a highlighted agenda.
Absolutely.
In the eyes of the world, I would say.
Well, they are, a UNESCO geopark, and that I think means something that's very special to them, to all of Malaysia. So they're working very hard to make sure that they maintain that status and that they provide for the locals there and some of the tourists there, the information that they need to keep Langkawi the natural beauty that it is.
And is that the the selected sort of audience that you're targeting, participants for this LEFF? People who love Langkawi in general, or islands? People love islands. People love beach life. Is it a broader scope?
It's hard to find people who don't love islands. So
people who don't like water, but I mean, like I'm a water freak.
Yeah, sure.
I love the sea.
Yeah. Well, I think anybody who's willing to listen, really, everybody needs to be properly informed about how to take care of their environment and some of the issues being presented to them. But yeah, I guess in particular, people who appreciate the natural beauty of islands and how kind of complex of an ecosystem that can be, being confined to one place, having to deal with your own waste, having to make sure that your own water is clean and able to be used. So I think there's a bit of that, of appealing to the island crowd. Certainly the locals who are living on Langkawi, people in Kedah, but also tourists. I mean, tourists need to know this stuff too. They more than anything, I think the island of Langkawi wants the people who come and enjoy it to leave it the same way that they found it. So it's important to get a wide variety of people.
Right.
Yeah, and I think besides the film itself, we will also organize 4 workshops, community workshops for the public. Mainly like a simple workshop, so you can do at home, like a DIY indoor garden, eco enzyme workshops, and also a composting workshop. This is open to the public, and we also, I think this year for Langkawi, we have something different compared to the Kuala Lumpur. Is that on Sunday, on the 12th of October, we will be organizing a community dialogue with the stakeholders of Langkawi. This is a partnership with the Kedah state government, and other partners such as the Langkawi Development Authority, local hoteliers, business operators, restaurants, schools, colleges there. The idea is we want to hear what they have to say about Langkawi, what is their hope, how do you progress, and also researchers. We've been calling researchers, we invited researchers to come and also share about what's happening in Langkawi currently. Like new species. What's the status of the biological stuff there.
So it's going to be a whole bunch of dialogues and meetings taking place in addition to this films that we screened.
Yes.
Yeah, the big dialogue is going to be on Sunday, where we get all the stakeholders together to really have a good discussion about how to keep Langkawi naturally beautiful. And then interspersed throughout the film screenings, we have workshops. We're lucky to have 2 rooms right next door to each other at the 4 Points Sheraton. And so we have some time set aside for these, kind of fun, informative environmental workshops, and then, once people are done with those, they can just walk right next door to the film screening and enjoy a nice environmental film.
Nice. In terms of the content of the films that will be screened at the LEFF 2014, share with us some examples.
Okay, we have 2 official selections.
Okay.
The first one is called The Island President. It's about this new elected in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, president of Maldives.
Right.
So as you see, Maldives is just 4 centimeter above seawater, and they are on the verge of being dissolved sometime in the future. So it's about this guy, the president that at that time the president of Maldives who's trying to really push the environmental agenda to the world. So although the Langkawi and Maldives is different, but I think it is very important to show.
So they actually produced this documentary which tracked the efforts of the president.
Yes.
In pushing that agenda.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. And that was over how long a period?
That is I think about 90 minutes.
Okay.
Some documentary is between 60.
You mean how long did they keep track of the president?
That's right. Yeah.
It can't be more than a couple of years.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That is very interesting. And then the second official selection is called Sand Wars. It's about the sand mining problems around the world, and there's also been some issues.
Right.
I know this is a bit. Some of the films that we bring is a bit, of course, controversial.
Slightly controversial.
Slightly, some people might get like a step on their toes, but I think why we come in is really we want to just educate public and also the business people that even though you are in some kind of business, you can still work on a more ethical way.
Right.
And in the end, I think a little bit of controversy is good. Controversy starts discussion, and in the end, that's what we want. We want people to recognize that there are issues out there that need their help to be solved, and unless they start talking about it, that's never going to happen. So a little bit of controversy is okay with us as long as it promotes healthy discussion.
Or just to kind of spark the interest of people, or just get them thinking a little bit, or just being aware of certain actions that they might not be aware in terms of its repercussions.
And we play to both sides of controversy too. For example, Pandora's Promise, which was the Scorsese produced film, is actually pro nuclear energy, which I think these days, especially when you're talking about the environment, is a little bit of a touchy subject. So we try to represent all sides when possible, because there are a lot of voices to be heard.
Do you think, since we are on the subject of the island of Langkawi, I mean, how is it going over there? I've not been in a while. I absolutely love the island. It's like when you visit Langkawi, it's going to a different country altogether.
Yeah, almost.
It's got a nice, certainly a really nice feel to it.
Very nice.
The way I would describe it, in a very vague general term. I have heard of agro-tourism, for example, being promoted by, was it Tourism Malaysia, or was it by the Mardi people? I think it was Mardi. And you hear of this term eco-tourism, and we've had a lot of discussion on that on this slot. In fact, right here on Trax Momentum, is certain parts of Langkawi, has it been open, or has it been developed for proper real ecotourism, or is it something that's still in the process?
I think part of them being a UNESCO geopark is that process. I think part of the reason that they were awarded that recognition was because it's just such a naturally beautiful place. And part of the deal that's struck there, I think, is that there is going to be an ongoing process to make sure that those natural sites and spots are taken care of, but also that improvements are made to the ways that we allow people to see these sites. So I think there are some things in place. Certainly, things like the cable cars and the sky bridge and things like that. Those are a real big part of ecotourism, because it gives people an opportunity to see how truly beautiful it is out there. But I don't think anybody's trying to rest on their laurels here. I think everybody's trying to make sure that Langkawi is the natural environmental attraction, not just now, but for years and years to come.
That's going to be interesting to observe and to follow through, because, I mean, typically you talk about Langkawi, it's a very major, sort of like a big tourist attraction, obviously, in terms of the numbers that it draws. And you talk about the facilities and the attractions, besides the beautiful spots, which occur naturally anyway.
Right.
A lot of it is sort of catered towards more mass commercialism and tourism in that mode, yeah? So it'll be interesting to see how it converts certain spots, certain little idyllic spots, scenic areas in Langkawi, to cater for more of the eco-tourist instead.
Well, this is sustainability at its heart, right? You have to, make sure that as you welcome more tourists, as you promote more ecotourism, that you're coming up with a way that you can continue to do that for many years in the future. And the only way you can do that is if you have a mind for sustainability.
Right. And especially in engaging, of course, the people of Langkawi themselves.
Yeah.
That's going to be very important. I am speaking to two gentlemen from EcoKnights, Andrew Zoromski as well as Bakhtiar, who is the director of the Langkawi Eco Film Festival 2014, which happens next weekend, 11 and 12 October, at the 4 Points by Sheraton Langkawi Resort. A little bit more with these two guys in just a little while. In the meantime, keep it locked right here on Trax Momentum. Kong Yu with you on the interview of the hour. Good morning.